Hi, 8 out there. Ruling number 8, life path number 8. What can we expect? Um, what can we expect for you guys? So, reading about 8s and knowing where they sit on the chart. I do this every time. Sorry, you guys, I do this every time. Forget that this exists. So, 8s are right here. So they are the last sign on the soul plane or the spiritual feeling plane. So they're right in the middle, but they're the last one. So we almost reached the end with a 9 there. So that's pretty important. You guys are very, very well developed by this point. So you are pretty good at a lot of things, you know. When we look at this in terms of astrology, what is the last water sign? Well, that would be Pisces. And Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. So it's interesting that there's still a number after you guys, but we'll get into that in the 9 video. The 8 is really about bringing your emotional intelligence to its zenith, and that's really going to play the biggest part for you guys, is how you readily express your emotions. And as I'm reading 8s, what happens is there is a tendency to mask some of those emotions. And we see that with Pisces. Pisces represents illusion with the Moon card. You know, it's something that's hidden. You know, you get so far, and I think it starts maybe with Capricorn, because Sagittarius puts it out there. Capricorn starts to restrain a little bit, starts to restrict, and then Aquarius is kind of like the fog, you know, the unknown that we have to kind of peel back. And then Pisces is just complete, not chaos, but it's complete, like a puzzle, you know. I think that's why Virgo is so attracted to puzzles, you know, because it's opposite them. So when we look at Pisces, we really think about the mystery, you know, and do we really know how they feel and what they're thinking? Because they're so empathic, it's almost like you kind of feel like they don't actually have their own feelings and stuff, but of course they do. They're humans, you know. Yes, they're on this plane and they're water signs. So, like I said, the water signs are really going to struggle a lot with practical means. Or the reverse side is that they tend to be extremely practical to maintain some sort of control. So you'll see that, you know, with the water signs I know, yes, they're very, very straightforward, restrictive, because I think they need that. So towers come up twice, so we're going to talk about the tower here. So tower card, for the 8s, lots of build to demolish, you know, lots of working towards something, and then boom, it all falls apart. So when we look at this, we really are caught off guard. We're really in a moment where we're pretty proud of our success, and then the universe is like, okay, well, there's something to learn here. So bam, you get hit with something else, you know, whether it's the lightning or whatever, but it sends you back down so you can realize what it was you were missing, because we're always missing something. We never have it all. So even when it looks like we do, we never have it all. And the Pisces certainly could think that they have it all coming last, that they've taken everything that's come before them, but there's still something missing here. So you guys will feel like you've put so much effort into things and you've got it to like this great point or whatever, and then there's this unknown thing, this unknown force that just tears it all down. And I think this talks a lot about luck, because I do find that Pisces can have terrible streaks of luck. It's either really good or really bad, and some in between, but luck plays a factor for you guys. And there, the tower is just a force that you just can't foresee. You know, it just happens. and you just have to surrender to it. You know, it's fate. It's a fate card. So the fate cards are really, you know, the greatest advice with them is to just let it happen. I know that's easier said than done. Let's see here. Oh, okay. So a couple of these, sorry, half of them fell on the floor. Awesome. So, I understand what is happening here. Okay. So we can take this. I don't know if I'm going to go into depth about all of these, but interesting. Okay, so we got both Leo cards here. So 8 is the sign of Leo, and as I was reading the description for the number 8, the personal life number, it was really screaming Leo at me until it got into the emotional portion, and then I'm like, no, no, no. Leos wear their heart on their sleeves. They will let you know how they're feeling. Sometimes it's extremely hard for us to not let others know how we're feeling, okay? So I was just like, no, 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 that's not Leo. So it may look at first glance like the Pisces comes across as Leo. Yes, they're very creative. Yes, they can be very engaging and extroverted. You know, yes, all of that is there. They can seem very passionate, all that. But then you kind of look a little closer, and you start to see that maybe this is a little bit of a mask. Maybe this is a little bit of some uncertainty. Maybe these waters are a little treacherous. Maybe they're a little further than I'm willing to go. Because Leo gives you everything, because they represent the heart. They wear their hearts on their sleeves. They put it all out there, and most of the time it's to get disappointed again and again. There are a few times where a Leo does get what they give, and that's a really powerful thing when it happens. I can speak to that, but most of the time we can't plan for it. But the Pisces, the reason why I say this is the Pisces has this other side, this duality. When we see this with immutable signs, and the Pisces is represented by two fish swimming in a circle, similar to kind of the Cancer symbol, but there's two fish, so there's opposition, you know, but it's within the same being. So that can really throw people off, is like, well, I'm seeing one thing, but I'm feeling another from this person, and I really have mixed signals here. And if you're intuitive, you'll notice it a lot quicker, but Pisces is known to be able to fool a lot of people, and that's why they are very elusive, and um, they're very, just like the 7 we see before them, they're very alluring. Like, you want to kind of interact with it. You know what I mean? Like, it seems like it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be, you know, like a good time or whatever. And then you're like, uh-oh. I'm seeing some of the destructive force here now. I'm seeing some of that. It's a little too trepidatious for me. I'm not super comfortable with this. If you can catch on quickly, because they can fool a lot of people, because we got here the moon card, and that's because the moon distracts. It is calling the attention of the dogs, and the crayfish has a path. Maybe even the dogs have a path to go on, but the moon is calling the attention. It's kind of almost like, you know, there's that Pokemon, I think it's Butterfree. It's the butterfly, but it has like this stun spore, and it's like this little stuff that like comes down, and it almost looks like snow or something, but it's like a sleep potion. And you know, if it falls on you or your Pokemon, it falls asleep, and then it's inactive, and then the Butterfree can just kill it because it's asleep. It can't fight back, and that's kind of what Pisces does. You know, like the ones that are really out to get you, they kind of cast like this spell, this stun spore on you, and they kind of immobilize you. And like I said, they're luring you in. It's like the fisherman, you know, like you're using bait and then you get it. And so in the eyes of a Pisces, the Pisces are the fishermen, and then we are the bait. You know, we are the bait that the fish is getting, and or we're the fish, you know, that falls for the bait. That's more appropriate. That's where I was trying to go. And so it's a really interesting thing. I don't want to paint a bad picture out there, but obviously water signs have these kind of predilections for a reason, but most Pisces are harmless, because they're emotional beings. So they're going to be pretty honest because they feel that stuff deeply. But I will just say that Pisces is deep for a reason. You have to go far to really find them if you ever do. And for those that have, I'm sure they feel that it's very rewarding, but it was a very treacherous, long, exhausting journey to get there. So I do commend you if you have been able to reach that point with the Pisces, because I've seen a few in my life and I'm just like, man, I can't even stomach the thought of trying to get to that point. You know what I mean? I hope you guys know what I'm saying, but they live on an island that's separate from everything else, and um, it just requires so much stamina and endurance to get there. And hopefully, it seems like it'll be rewarding enough. I can't say that it always is, but um, it's almost like a mirage sometimes, where you're like in the desert and you see like this great thing, and you realize as you get closer and closer it starts to vanish, or you start to reach out to it and you realize there's nothing really there, and it's all like this illusion. And it's so crazy. I don't know why I'm having all of these metaphors about Pisces right now, but maybe they're a very metaphoric sign. Maybe that's how they exist. They exist in a subconscious realm, and it's just not earthly. It's not tangible. So maybe that's why all these are coming to me. But the moon here, we got the moon. So we're distracted. There's fear at play. There's illusion. So eights really can complicate things, whether it's for themselves or other people. They cannot really always know what's ahead, because the present matters or whatever distracts them, because their emotions can throw them off course. Yes, they do feel their own emotions. They are people, so even though they feel like they're just a mirror to you when you're around them, they are going through their own intense stuff constantly. Trust me. Twos and threes, they are always on the move. So going, going, going. It's like the Energizer Bunny here. It's just like never stop. Here, when I look at this, I get a little concerned with, are we taking the time to really invest in our present situation, or are we just changing? We're just changing the surrounding again and again. And I don't know if that is really a solution to things. It doesn't really fix things because you're carrying the same problems with you. But lots of change, a worldly view, somebody that appreciates travel, going places, and yeah, growth. Obviously, we see with the wands, so they're always trying to improve themselves, but we have to rein in some of that change sometimes. So that mutable energy can just want to go, go, go all the time, and there's always a time and place for things. You have to kind of let it happen sometimes, and King of Swords doesn't want to do that. He's not really patient. He knows where he wants to go, or he knows how to kind of use his intellectual prowess to benefit himself, and hopefully it's not to the demise of others. But we could see that with the reverse. We could see somebody that's very, very intellectual, very smart, very capable, but when we are opposite the fire energy, we're opposite integrity and honesty and all those things that keep us real at the end of the day. So, like I said, they may present themselves like a Leo at first. We see some wand energy, we see Queen of Wands, and we see strength, but strength is reversed. This card can actually be the Pisces card because it's creativity, it's spirituality. We see with the black cat, witches, and the sunflower is a sign of spirituality, something higher. So even though I often associate this with Leo, it could really be a Pisces card. So again, we've got the power, and maybe we abuse it. Pisces is the one sign out of all that represents magic. Magic is something that can't be explained. It can't be pinpointed. It can't be you know what I mean? It can't be taught. It's just illusory. So it's always one of those things where if it really existed, don't you think maybe some of those people should be using it for like a more humanitarian influence to like maybe bring about bigger change as opposed to just like parlor tricks? That's my question I always have with magicians, but maybe that's just not their concern. So I do believe that maybe it's possible that there is some magic in the world. I think all of us can feel magical at times when things are happening and they're very fluid, and it's just like this other force that's just kind of carrying you through these magical moments. Like, that's really magical, but magic in itself, I don't know. I think that's in the eyes of the person, not the beholder, but yes, that's whatever you think. So, Queen of Wands and Queen of Swords. So, Pisces is a little more feminine, I will say. She is obviously water signs are feminine signs. They are, yes, they are typically more female entities, or they come across as very female. And we kind of we see the epitome of that female power or that potential in the eighth, the last water sign. So we've reached the pinnacle of the soul plane, and we're just not concerned with our own soul anymore. You know what I mean? It's just something. It's become something more complex now. We've gotten away from ourselves with that strength reverse, and so yes, we got Queen of Wands reversed. Yes, we got the Magician. Yes, we got Queen of Swords, King of Swords. Lots of royalty. There may be a lot of the Tower. I mean, there's two people with crowns. There may be Taurus. They're Hierophant. Wow. There may be a lot of Pisces with rich ancestry, rich families. You look at Drew Barrymore. She's an acting. She's from an acting family, an acting legend. She's just the first example that came to my mind as a Pisces, but maybe that's what we see a lot. And the Hierophant, a true lover, but this is, I think, in this sense, we're talking about the spiritual side of this. So, definitely involved in religion or something spiritual with that soul plane level. So you could easily be someone in the church, the clergy, someone that advises people in that way. And Pisces, I will say, similar to Taurus, this is Taurus's card, in the way that they can really present a facade. They can really be saying one thing, but you know that they mean something else, and they're not fooling us. They're not fooling the intuitives out there. But we'll let them say what they think they're getting away with. That can be the trick sometimes. The gamut with the Taurus and Pisces is that yeah, uh, they can kind of get it in their heads like they're fooling everybody, and they're not all the time. But it's like that thing that I say about like priests and stuff. Like they really come across as this very open and like engaging person, and then the more you talk to them and interact with them, you get this strange feeling like there's some not abuse, or there's some part that they're not holding themselves accountable, that this is all some kind of an act. And we do see that with a lot of leadership out there in the clergy. It's just like maybe coming from that seven energy, it's like they have such high expectations of other people, but at the end of the day, because they don't see themselves clearly or whatever, or because they convolute things, they don't hold themselves accountable. And some people can see that shit. Just saying. But definitely passionate lovers. We see that with Pisces, and my only thing is with them, you have to be willing to go the distance to really find that reward. And this is another lover card that I see. This is one of like travel. So, and finances, obviously. We have to have the finances to travel and go on holiday or vacation. Got a little British there for a second. And we really feel like the waters, the waves are up and down. We're riding the currents, and this is like this everlasting motion. It's ups and downs. It's like for Pisces, it could literally be a sentence, and they completely switch gears, and they're the other fish. They're the other. Like it changes, just like a Gemini. They're very similar. Someone once told me that like Pisces and Gemini are they can see the similarity there. Um, and if you look at Pisces rising, what's in the fourth house of the familiar or the natural self, the moon, So it is Gemini. It's that sign. So they can come across emotionally as Geminis, like they just quickly change course, they change lanes, and you're just like, whoa, what? I can't keep up, kind of a thing. So, um, but yeah, here it's the job isn't stable. Obviously, for Pisces, they are not Earth signs, so we see the reversal of Earth. We see that they are impractical, and maybe they seek for somebody in a relationship that has more of those means, more stability. Maybe that they look for that because they know within themselves that they don't have it. Oh, there we go. That's the Pisces card. I see this a lot. Three of Swords. So I always want to say Three of Hearts because I see the heart in this one, but this is really. Um, we're just kind of walking along here, just picture us as like this comic book character or cartoon, and there's just this like mopey cloud over our head constantly, and we can't overcome it. We can't get out from under it. It's just following us, like it's magnetically drawn to us everywhere we go. And so there's some pessimism. There's this, well, I don't, nothing, woe is me, like it's always going to follow me. These emotions are always held really close to me, and it's just because um, maybe the eight just doesn't feel like they can overcome that stuff. Maybe they don't feel like they can pull those swords out and deal with the pain, because we see the strength reversed here, and I'm not trying to minimize the pain here, but I do see with Pisces a lot that they're so emotionally volatile that they end up hurting themselves a lot. They carry that pain with them, and maybe there's this, well, pain is pleasure aspect that we start to see with them because they just can't move away from it time and time again, and so they just kind of embrace it almost. So that can be some self-sabotage. Sure, water energy there, but I also do see that with artists. Like they can kind of, their minds can almost be their prison and like their masterpiece. It's like and we're talking about the emotions. And the Hangman too. I'll talk about these, but yeah, it can almost be their downfall when it's not creating. When it doesn't feel alive or whatever. So yeah, and then maybe we see some threes. Maybe we see some love triangles. Some, like we know it's just not going to end well, but we just can't help ourselves, kind of a thing. So King of Cups. King of Cups we usually see with a male water sign, but this one's reversed. So this one is really, the waters are too treacherous for us. We're treading water here. We're barely keeping up with it all, and I think we see that with the Three of Swords here, and the Tower card is just again and again. So, but it's interesting with the two kings that we got them both reversed, and the two queens are upright. So again, males will struggle a lot more with this Pisces energy because it's more of a feminine way of interpreting the world. It's more feminine, it's more sensitive, and males do not like to be sensitive. To them, it's vulnerability. To a masculine person, emotion can seem like a hindrance as opposed to a power. Whereas females, it's the opposite. So you really have to embrace that a little more and see it more as a strength, see it as more of an honest way of interacting with the world and knowing that things are happening for a reason because you can feel them on a deep level. So this card, though, we can, again, with the King's reverse, we can become very manipulative with our power. We can really hurt others. We're in a position to do harm to others, especially with the King of Cups. Very destructive energy. Um, and Pisces are extremely rebellious. We see that with the water signs, but definitely Pisces, like, they seem all cute and cuddly. And then you're just like, whoa, okay. Now you've got, like, the knives out and everything, and you're casting, like, this ritual, and shit's, like, about to go down. So they can really be the ones that sneak, like, unknowingly around, and all of a sudden, they have stabbed you in the back or something, or they have cut you down in, like, the most flawless way, and it seemed almost effortless or whatever, because they're that good at, like, that illusion, or, like, putting that energy out there, like, where they were just flying under the radar for so long. And that's what we see with the King of Cups, somebody that really knows what they're doing and is going to make other people feel it. You know what I mean? It's like it's going to result in some major hurt if that person doesn't have good intentions. And with the reversal, we don't always see that. So the Hangman. So this is like the Pisces card other than the Moon that I see you guys as, the Hangman. And this is more of the positive aspects. So this is showing that your perspective is extremely different from the vast majority out there. And yes, we do see that with Pisces. They're the drug-fueled, like, religious, like, subconscious self. And so it's like you're going into Wonderland or whatever, and you come back enlightened. You come back with all these ideas and, like, this sense of knowing. And the Hangman shows that. Look at that, like, halo or whatever around his mind. His unique perspective gives him insights, gives him power. But he's often made the fool, or he's often ridiculed for it. So maybe some bullies, or they're just kind of like the comic joke sometimes. Like, people just, they prod at Pisces and stuff, and it's like this universal thing that I think ends up making them into the beasts that they become, because people just don't hold back from them as they're developing and as they're being unique, and because they take a different approach that society doesn't accept. And so society will naturally try to strike down or make someone feel inferior that is different from the norm. So you guys have a great perspective. You see things differently, but you unfortunately will be the butt of jokes or ridiculed for it. But you just have to remind yourself. You have to know that I have this unique perspective for a reason. It's my own, and no one else can harm me for it. As long as I see the truth in it. So. We just have to realize that this creativity and everything is for a reason. And maybe most of it's for a religion or a higher self that we try to get to. But don't just change your surroundings again and again, because you're going to find the same thing if you're not taking care of it. Don't carry this hurt around with you again and again. Try to be more transparent. Try it. Try it. Try to be more transparent. Try to deal with stuff. Don't just, don't run away from it. Please don't abuse your power. You guys are very intellectual, very perceptive for a reason, and you're only giving people more means to do harm to you when you start abusing it. Turn this strength around. Don't let it be your weakness. But lots of matters of the heart. This tower will build and destroy. It's a constant cycle for you guys. You will have great success, and then it will collapse, and then you have to start over again. So the sooner you realize that, maybe the better off you'll be. But there's always stuff to be learned. And the King and Queen of Swords definitely say that. There's always things to be learned, and the Magician. We want some of this stuff to be upright. So, because some of it can work against you, but I think you guys have a lot of possibility. It's just finding that strength. I feel like maybe you feel powerless over your own emotions with that King of Cups reverse, and I understand. I understand that sometimes it's hard for me, and but I surround myself with people that I truly trust, that I truly know that like just won't do me harm, and I just, if anything, I just try to be open. You know, I try to be open and honest, and I try to let it out. It can take me sometimes. I'm a fixed sign, so I move very slowly in that sense. Emotionally, I'm an Aquarius, and it's in my 8th house, so bada bing. But, you know, it's just take your time. Don't rush everything. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. And yeah, just stop covering things up so much. You know, I've advised different Pisces out there, and I'm just like, just be more real, be more you. I know it's within you. I know it's there. I've seen it for myself, and I'm sure other people that truly know you guys out there have seen it. But you have to learn to be more comfortable with letting it out. You know, yeah. That's my advice. I mean, the life here doesn't seem like it'll be especially easy, but it seems like it's more self-sabotage, or it's more you guys are doing this to yourself, um, you know, as opposed to anything else. Yes, you can have some unlucky streaks, but there's some abuse of power here, and so I just want to reiterate that you don't want to fuck with karma, you know. You guys, you water signs, I know it's just so hard to control that chaos, but find ways to let it out. Let it not distort your vision, you know? Okay, well, I hope you like